Hi MJ, how's it going? Can someone let me know if they can hear me, because my Facebook keeps freezing and I'm not sure if it's going live or if it's just frozen on that screen. Hi Rebecca. Oh, it's obviously might just be my screen that's frozen. Yeah, Facebook's not being pleasant tonight, shall we say. So, okay, so I'm going to start tonight with the Hortensia book, which I think is how you say it. Not quite sure. So tonight what we're going to do is make the hinges and put the cover together, and then because we're doing it that way, I want to leave it then, so we'll concentrate on the cover first, and then I'm going to leave it till next week before I fold it, because I was rushing doing this one, and as you can see there, it cracks slightly. So I'm going to leave the cover. So what you need to do is, move it over there, if you're crafting along, you need 2 sheets of A4 grey board. Now, so get your A4 grey board. So I'm sure you're aware A4 is 8 1/4 inches across that way. So we want to cut it at 8 1/4 inches this way. Now I did that one earlier just because I was struggling with my wrist and being able to do that. So I've gone ahead and cut that. So you've got 2 8 1/4 inch squares of grey board. So no matter which way you put them, they will be exactly the same size. So one of the offcuts is going to be 3 1/2 inches across. So we want to cut that directly in half. So that's 1 3/4 inches, just there. Now I've put a small cut in it with a paper trimmer. That just makes it a little bit easier to then go ahead with my knife, and lots of little cuts. Nearly through, and I just spin it round part way through, and that should, there we go. So you've now got 2 pieces that are 1 3/4 inches, which is the size of your spine. So we only need 1 of those. So that's going to go like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, because the cardstock that I'm using is quite lightweight, I'm going to back this with double-sided, and just for a little bit of added strength, I'm going to put that on some Tyvek. So I will get my double-sided. So I need my Tyvek to be big enough to cover on both sides and the hinge. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut that down to A5, because there's no point really wasting the Tyvek. So cut that down to A5. So I know I can now put my spine in the middle and then put my two covers, front and back cover, either side. And that then means that because it's on Tyvek, it's going to be a little more secure. So now what I would normally suggest is quite a few pieces of double-sided sticky tape all the way across. But I have found an amazing, so this is A4 in width, so it's 8 1/4 across, and I think it's about 5 meters in length. So if you roll that out, I tend to roll out more than I need, and then line up at one edge. Don't stick your fingers to it like I tend to do. Straight across like that. Get your craft knife and just trim your double-sided off. Roll that back up, and then just, because I didn't get it exactly straight, I'm just going to trim off these edges. Okay, and stick it all to my fingers. So now we know that that Tyvek is on the underside of there. So what I'm just going to do is pull back some of these covering on the double-sided, which, because I'm going live, is going to take a while, whereas if I was doing this with nobody watching, it would come off straight away. Has anybody got any foolproof tips to get double-sided off? Because I think I need some. There we go. So that's come off now. So what I'm going to do is pull that down. I'm just going to leave that like that for now while I line things up. So start off with the spine right in the centre. Okay, and then my spacers have vanished. You can probably tell I went to a all-day crafting session on Sunday with they're called the Craft Collective, and got back Sunday night. We immediately went out for over to Wales for a few days, so I've not actually tidied my craft room up, which is why it's a complete mess. I'm going to use these aren't the ones that I usually use. We'll have to do because I'm not organised. So if I put this, so I'm using the 1/4 inch hinges, spacers even, put that on that side, and then pop your grey board there, and then pull them up, move them across. Now because this is completely double-sided, you know that it's going to stick. It's not going to have any gaps in between. So again, I'm just going to pop that one onto there. So that's my Tyvek on the back of there. Now what I'm going to do, I need some card to go over the spine. I'm not going to trim this down because I can't do it that way because it won't cover the edges top and bottom. So I want that to go like that and cover the spine. So what I'm going to do, move that out of the way, and I'm just again going to cover with double-sided, just because with it being part of the spine, I just need it to be secure. So if you get your torn off piece, you can actually hold it down and then pop your card down. Use your craft knife without something stuck to the top of it, and go straight down, and then spin it round and just trim that bit off. I just thought it's easier to use the whole sheet of A4 to put the whole sheet double-sided, then you don't have to sit and watch me picking off little bits of double-sided tape. So let's have a look at that one. Just try and edge up the backing, which I've done first time. Okay, if you're ever cutting out intricate die cuts and you use the double-sided tape, if you keep these bits from the back of it, you can put glitter on it and then use that to rub it down, so you're not really wasting anything. You can just use that as a backing sheet again. So I'm going to pop that down like that. Make sure it's a bit squarer than that, and line it up as straight as you can do, and then just using your bone folder and just encourage it to go up. You can also use an embossing tool to do that, and then just, if you rub it along the edge, you can do that straight, and then that will just push that down. And then again with the other side, if you just encourage it up to start with, bend that round, and then, you know, because it's double-sided all the way along, you know that that's going to stick firm and not move when you're doing your book. Okay, so while we're here, I'm going to get another sheet of tie-dye, plain cardstock, and I'm just going to pop that there, like that. So I know that I don't need these corners, so if I just pencil mark where the edge of the corners are, I know I can cut that corner off, top and bottom, so it won't be too bulky on the corner. Now what I'm going to do is just pop some double-sided tape on here. So who've we got watching along tonight? Anybody want to admit to being here? Just take this double-sided off, and then we're going to line it up where I'd put my pencil mark corners, and just rub that double-sided down. Then I'm just going to pop some tape on here, and this will hold it onto, because the glue, especially when it's warm like this, the glue sometimes can take a little bit longer, depending on the weather, as to how long it takes to grab. So you can either use your hands or a bone folder, but just encourage the page to bend round. Now, where's my glue? Okay, so what we're going to do now, excuse me, is wait for the glue to go upside down. Pop some glue on there. And just roll that over. And that will give you a nice, neat edge. Again, same on this side. I might need to get a different glue bottle out. Just pick your double-sided off. That again, roll that up and just put your hand behind it. Roll that over. And that's gone up there like that. Then get your bone folder of whichever description you've got. If you're anything like me or some of the other crafters, we've got at least 3 different bone folders, and we use whichever one we can find on the day. So just squish those corners in, get your glue again, and pop your glue on there. Stand it upside down, take your tape off, or tape backing off I should say, and again just, if you use your bone folder, push it up and then move that across, and then that will give you a nice corner for your book. So after doing that side, you need to get your next sheet of card. And the reason I'm using this lilac-y, mauvey coloured cardstock rather than black or white was that the papers, when I tried using black with them, it didn't go. It looked a bit too harsh. And then I tried the white, and again it was just a bit too white. It looked a bit odd. And then I tried cream, but there were so many different shades of cream and it just didn't go. So I went with the, I think it's called lilac mauve, rather than light purple. So that's why I went with this one, just because it tended to sit better with the papers. I spoke to somebody the other day and they were quite shocked that I wasn't using black or white for the card bit, for the page bases. But there's nowhere that says it has to be black or white or brown. And it does make a change sometimes to just change it up and use a coloured cardstock, as long as you make sure you've got enough cardstock, because there's nothing worse than starting a project and getting almost to the end and realising you've run out of the cardstock that you were using. So again, I'm just going to cut across the corner, just so we don't have too much bulk there. You don't want it bulging out. Okay. And again, just to hold it in place, I'm just going to put a blob of double-sided tape along there. And then I'm going to not be able to pick this backing tape off. There we go. Pull that backing tape off. Pop that on there, and then just lift it up slightly, line it up with the pencil mark corners that you've made, and then push it down so the double-sided has stuck. And then again, if you get your bone folder, you can just ease it along there like that. And doing it this way will give you a nice neat edge when your book is finished. So we'll just pop that along there. And then just to hold it in place until the glue grabs and sets, put a piece of tape on each of the sides that are going to be folded over. So again, get your glue. And just, you need to make sure there's sufficient glue on, but obviously don't put so much glue on that it's going to be oozing out everywhere. So just rub it along and encourage it up, and then just roll it over and just push that down, and then just squidge down the corner so it makes a nice neater fold. So again, we're just gonna pop that on there. Remove the backing on the double-sided tape. And just encourage that up and over. And again, using your bone folder, just push that down so it gives you a nice neat corner. So I'm sure you all know now. Let's pull that off. And pop your glue on. It's a bit like watching paint dry. Encourage it up. Roll that over. And there you've got some nice neat corners on your book. Now I'm going to leave that and not do anything with it. I'm not going to bend it till next week. So I'm just going to pop that out of the way. So, quick tidy up, get rid of all the backing bits of the double-sided. And put the lid back on my glue. So who've we got watching tonight? Anybody from outside of the UK? So we're all watching from the UK. Whereabouts in the UK are we all watching from? Oh, Florida. Oh, all that warmth and sunshine. Not jealous very much. Although we have had some sunshine and we have had some warm spells, but not like you get in Florida. So, for the hinges on this book, we've got 6 pages. So we've got 1, that counts as a page. So 1, 2, 3, the acetate page is 4, 5 and 6. So we need, I'm going to do a 1/4 of an inch hinge in between each page. So we need to score, I will put all these measurements up in the group later, with only getting back at about 7:15 tonight from a few days away. Everything didn't go to plan. So Bay City, Oregon. Oh, I love the coast. Any coast, as long as it's warm and got a beach. Yeah, definitely prefer warm weather. Now, what I did on this book, the book itself is 8 1/4 inches high. So the hinges, I actually trimmed my card down to 8 inches. Just so that it gave us a little bit of wiggle room, because you don't want your pages going right to the edge of the book, just so they don't get crushed. So the hinges, we're going to score at 2 inches, 2 1/4 inches. So that's up to where the hinge is. So 2 1/4 inches, and then a 1/2 inch flap. So that's 2 3/4 and 3 1/4. I don't know if these are showing up that well. So that's your hinge, and then another 1/4 inch gap, which is going to be your gusset. So that takes us to 3 1/4. and then 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch again, and that's going to be your hinge. So we need another 1/4 inch gusset, and then again 2 more 1/2 inch lines for the flap. Now, I don't know if that's going to show, I actually went slightly out of the line there. I don't know if it's going to show up. If that happens, if you flip your card over and just using a bigger sized ball tool than you used, and very gently just rub over the top of it, and it makes it disappear on this side. It just pushes the fibres back into the card, and it makes it doesn't flip over. So we've got 1 and a gusset, 2 hinges and a gusset, 3 hinges, so we need another gusset, and then again 2 more 1/2 inch scores, which will be your flap, and again another 1/4 inch gusset, and then back to another 2 scores at 1/2 inch, and that's another flap. So I need another gusset, and then and then we do another flap at 1/2 inch. So we've got a gusset, a flap, a gusset, a flap. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flaps, and then a gusset. And as if by magic, you actually end up with a 2-inch section at this side as well. I don't think I planned it that way. It was what I call a happy accident. So we need to now fold all these. So we need to fold this back, leave your first gusset line, line them up, and then make sure it's straight, burnishing for that. And then again, I tend to do them all one way and then spin the card round and do them. So do all the valley folds and then all the mountain folds. So your gussets are all going to be valley folds. Just burnish that down so you've got a really good crease in it. And again, make sure it lines up straight. You don't want it going off wonky, because a wonky spine isn't great. Fold your gusset over again, line it up, okay. So again, just fold it over. If you're not sure if you can fold it correct or on the right line, what you can do is pop your ruler up to the gusset or up to the score line, and then just pop your bone folder underneath it, fold up to there, and then burnish it down from the other side. And then just for ease, I'm going to move this across, fold that over, and again just double check it's lined up. Gently push it into place with your fingers, and then once you're happy that it's straight, use your bone folder to burnish that in well. Oops. So again, just ease it into place with your fingers and then burnish it down, and then we just need one more, and then we burnish that one down. So now we're just going to go the opposite way and fold all your mounting folds. Again, just line it up so then you've got your gusset there, and do your next one, line it up and burnish that down. Make sure it's all straight, burnish that down, and again just make sure your folds are creased nice and sharply. And we've got one more left. So again, just get your bone folder, oops, and fold them down. So now we've got the basis for our hinge. And if you gather it up with your fingers, you will see that you then have 6 flaps for your hinge. So although I use glue, because that will stay, I do tend to put a small amount of double-sided just to keep it in place. So I'll just pop a little bit in the middle of each hinge, and then I will go along, oops, and pop the glue in to make sure it sticks. So I'll get a new bottle of glue out because that one was not working very well. So there we go. So if we just pull that off, give it a bit of a shake. Quite wet at the moment because it is quite warm here. If it is very wet, just wipe it off with another piece of card and make sure it's mixed properly in there. That's better. And then just pop your glue on both sides of the hinge, fold it over and press it down, and then using your bone folder just push that down like that. And if it is a bit too wet, it will ooze out the sides. Okay, so that's the first one done. Then again, take the sticky double-sided off the back and pop your glue on to both sides of the flap. Fold it over, push it down and burnish that down. Who've we got? Troubles in the building. Evening, Sadie. Not on holiday this week. So I'll just move them the other way, and again peel the backing off there and just pop your glue. Somebody said to me the other week, and I wish I could remember who it was, how do you make sure you don't put too much glue on your gussets? I tend to put my fingers there, not till Monday, just so I don't go over. And again, fold that up and burnish it down. Okay. take your double-sided tape off. Pop your glue on and then fold it over and burnish it down. And taking the back of the tape off and just, there we go. Ease your glue out, not too much, but enough so that it does stick. Fold that over and burnish the flap down. Oh, a bit too much glue, it's squeezed out both ends. But you'll see these, all these now will stand like that. So if I take the last one off, take the backing tape off, and then just go over and fold that up like that. Okay, so there you have your 6 hinges. Now, what I find easier to do, and if I do it now, it makes it easier than forgetting and trying to do it when your spine's in the book. So just go to each hinge and cut it off at an angle so it's easier for you to put your pages on. So if you do it while it's like this and not stuck in the book, you can angle it round so it's easy to get your scissors into the right angle. Although the corners that you cut off do ping everywhere. So now what you'll have noticed on the book is that page 2 is 2 envelopes. Now here I actually cut out the middle bit, so that cut a V in the middle just so that they will slide on easier. So rather than struggle to do it whilst it's in the book, at this point it doesn't matter which is the front or back because we've not put it in the book. So if you go to your second flap, and because this is 8 inches, got that stuck on my ruler. If you get a pencil and mark in the middle the 4-inch mark, and then if you go 1/8 of an inch either side of it, and then just cut that off, angle it as you would do normally, but it's easier to do it now whilst it's not in the book. So if you angle it like you would do for your normal bit, just angling the corners off, and then if you fold it back on itself, you can then just pop your scissors in and trim that off. So now you've got a flap for page 1, you've got your 2 envelope flaps and the rest of your flaps. So you don't have to do it now, but having done 2 prototypes and not done them till later, it's much easier to do it now before it's stuck to your spine. It just it's not a major issue if you don't do it straight away, if you don't do it now, but like I say, it just makes life easier. And crafting's fun, it's cheaper than therapy, it's mindfulness, you don't want to get stressed out over anything like that. So I'm going to bring the covers in. So because we've trimmed this down to 8 inches, you will see, that's better, that it doesn't quite go to the top and bottom. But that means that when it's on a bookshelf and it stands up, your pages aren't going to get caught at the bottom. So if you take your pencil and lightly mark where the middle of the gussets are, and then if you just work out roughly where the middle is, you know that if you turn 3 flaps either way, that middle gusset should line up with the pencil marks top and bottom. So again, if we take the double-sided and just put some top, middle and bottom, just take that bit off, and then get your take your backing tape off, which is not always as easy as it sounds when I say that. Then if you get your glue, pop a little bit just above the backing tape, down the sides, across your hinges. So this tape will just keep it in place till the glue settles and grabs. Okay, put some more down this side. Okay, then we turn it over, and if you've changed your hinges, you can line them up top and bottom, and don't worry about the pencil marks, we can always rub them off once it's dried. So if you line that up, get your bone folder and burnish that down really, really well. And then just using the side of your bone folder, just go down each flap and burnish it really, really well. That's why I use this one for this, because it's just the right size. Burnish them down. Like that. So they're all stuck in place. Grab your rubber and I'll just rub out those pencil lines, and don't forget, and then leave that until next week. So once you've done that, leave it like that. Don't try and fold it, otherwise if you try and fold it too soon, you end up with little squidgy bits there, and we don't want that. So Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to be try to be really good and not bend it until next week. Hi Lorraine. Oh no, what a horrible... Is that work being annoying for you? I think we need to have words with these work people. A few people have said that work's been not playing nice and they've not been able to join and watch. I'm going to watch on replay, so yeah. Not a lot we can do. We need to go to work to get the money to spend on our crafting goodies. So, yeah. It's good, but it's not that good. So, anybody doing any crafting in this heat? No? It has been really, really warm. Right, my computer's gone off again. There we are, having a problem. So, right, we'll leave it there. Next week, we'll do the pages, and we should get all... You only actually need to make 4 pages, even though there's 6 hinges. So we'll get the 4 pages made next week, and the 2 envelopes. And then we may get started on some of the decorating. There are still a couple of kits in the shop. If anybody wants one, I can put a link in on this live afterwards, providing Facebook plays. If you're wanting to craft along with stuff from home, you will need 2 packs of 8x8. Certainly with Stamperia and Graphic 45 you will need 2 of the 8x8 packs, but like I say, if there are a couple in the shop, and they will come with all the lace and the beads and the acetate that you need. So yeah, hope you all have a lovely crafty weekend, and I will see you same time next week, and we'll move on with some of the pages. If anybody's got any requests as to what sort of things they would like in the book, do you prefer flips and flaps? Do you like the interactive sections of books, or do you prefer them fairly straightforward? I have seen a waterfall that somebody's done online, not a standard waterfall. Instead of going up and down or side to side, it actually goes around in a circle. So you pull the waterfall here and it goes round in a circle. So I'm going to have a go at that at the weekend. Not making any promises it will be done for next week, because it did look quite very complicated. But I'm just going to have a go and see what happens. If anybody's got any requests, if you want to do a book a certain size, or if you want to do ones with the more landscape photographs, or you prefer them tall and thin, so you can put portrait size photographs in, or do you prefer to mix it up and have a bit of each? Let me know what your preferences are, and I will attempt to see if we can incorporate them into the next book that we do. For those of you who haven't seen, further down the group, 49 and Market are actually bringing out 2 new collections, one of which is called Beach, and it is amazing. It is a really nice, it's not nice, it's an amazing collection, and also Nature's Haven. So I'll have a look at those. there will be an order going end of next week, week after, so you can get yours on pre-order. Yeah, so I'll put the link in to the kit for this book, and I'll see you all soon. Okay, take care.